Hey guys, it's Shay with Shay's Urban Edibles. Today I wanted to bring you guys along while I reset my rosemary and add a new fruit tree to the garden. Come along. All right, so this is my rosemary. I have had this rosemary for probably about 3 years now. It was looking a little dry. It's very woody. I don't think that I can take any cuttings from it to start fresh rosemary. I mean, I'll try a couple. I've already bought a new start. But this is the rosemary that I wanted to reset. I'm going to prune this back as much as I can. I'll probably take a couple of cuttings to see if maybe I can get some starch from it. But then I also have rosemary seeds that I want to give a try. And then I did also buy this new one right here to start it in a bigger pot. All right, so that's what I wanted to do today. Today is going to be all about rosemary, and then at the end, I'll introduce you guys to my new fruit tree. I wanted to one take some rosemary cuttings and try and get them started in some of the seed starting mix. I did also want to go ahead and get some rosemary seeds started, although I have heard and read that rosemary seeds have a very low germination rate. If they do germinate, they are very slow growers. I'd still like to give it a try to see how it works out for myself, not just to go by what everybody else is saying. And then I am also going to upplant the new rosemary that I have. So let's get started. All right, I did first want to try to get a couple of cuttings from this rosemary. You're supposed to take the soft parts of the rosemary. Once it's woody, it's hard to propagate. And so I'm going to look for the most bendable pieces, and I'm going to take a 4 to 6 inch piece and try to get a couple of these to propagate. Okay, this feels pretty new. So I'm going to take this piece. That one's kind of woody. To be honest with you, this one is too, but I'm going to try to get it to start. Yeah, I think I'll try this piece too. So that's 2 pieces. I'm going to look for 1/3 piece. And then I also want to try to get a third piece of the 3 pieces of the foxtail rosemary. So a lot of my needles are falling off. I definitely need to harvest this. I don't want those going to waste. Now, some of the benefits of rosemary are one, it's good for the memory. It promotes hair growth. Rosemary is also good for diabetes, and it's good for stress. Okay, this one's pretty pliable. I'm going to try this one. All right. So we got 3 pieces off of this rosemary. We're going to try to get these propagated. But I did also want to try to get some of the foxtail rosemary and propagate it as well. So let's go that way. All right, this is the foxtail rosemary. You can definitely tell it's foxtail because it's not growing straight up like the other rosemary. It's kind of growing every which way but loose. And I think I already found the first piece. I'm going to be trimming right here to try to use this to propagate. This one back here looks good. These are a lot easier because this plant is a lot younger. I've only had this plant probably for about 6 to 7 months now. I like this one too. All right, that was quick. We got 3 pieces of the foxtail. We're going to try to propagate that. All right, I got my seed starting mix. And I just so happen to have 6 little containers. So we'll get this filled up, get these containers filled up. Already feels pretty moist. Yeah, any other time I would have already tried to start these seeds and these cuttings with just my regular potting mix, but I decided to try the seed starting mix because rosemary seeds are said to be so difficult to germinate. I want to give it the best shot possible. So I went ahead and got this seed starting mix. Burpee Organic Naturals. Um, I think it's made with, so it says controls moisture with coconut coir instead of peat moss. So let's see how this works out. This is a 12-quart bag, and it says that it's enriched with Burpee plant food. So hopefully this will be good for the seeds as well. All right, we got 6 of them. It still feels not moist enough, so I want to spray it with a little mist. I'm going to spray the bottom so it can soak up the water while I'm planting. And then I also want to mist the soil to make sure the top is wet, especially once I get ready to do these seeds. All right. I got my 3 regular rosemaries. I said, I don't know whether or not it's going to be easy to propagate this. I'm going to cut it a little bit more. Maybe we can get to where the stem is a little softer. And then from there, I'm going to remove all of these From there, I'll be removing about 2 inches of the rosemary leaves and poking it here into the soil. This one I'm going to do the same way. I'm going to trim the bottom a little bit more because it's, like I said, it's a little woody down here it's softer up in this area. So I'm going to trim a little more of the woodiness off and then remove about 2 inches of the needles, the rosemary needles, and stick it in the soil. This one will be done the same way. Try to cut as much of that woody off. Make sure you leave a 4 to 6 inch piece, and then take about 2 inches of your rosemary needles and remove them from the bottom. Poke it into the soil. All right, so we got those 3 done. I have now the foxtail rosemary, like I said, which is a lot younger than the other rosemary I had. I still want to clip a small piece of it away. See, this is a lot more bendable. And then take about 2 inches of the needles off. Oops. And slide it into the potting mix. This is very soft. Okay, we got that one going. This one's soft. Starting to harden up a little bit at the bottom. All right. We got our rosemary in the seedling mix. Hopefully it will take off. I didn't dip any of it into any rooting hormone. I probably should have, but it's done now. So we'll see what happens. Set these aside. Let it continue to soak up a little bit of that water. Next, we can move on to our rosemary seeds. And this is what I'll be planting. I also plan on putting some of these pansies in there because I haven't started any of these. And then I also want to go ahead and get started on some snapdragons because it's going to start cooling off soon. And I want my snapdragons to be ready to come out. So I'm going to fill the bottom of this tray with water first so the seed starting mix can soak up that water. Because we don't want it dry for the seedlings. I'm sorry, for the flowers and the rosemary seeds. But we did want it a little on the drier side for the rosemary cuttings. Because like I said, rosemary is not a plant that likes a lot of water. It prefers to be on the drier side. Take this and fill all of these little holes up. Each one of these rows. I'll have pansies in one row, rosemary in another row, and then I'll have my snapdragons in a row. And I suppose I could do a few onions in the other row. All right, let's do a little bit of mist. And then I'll do a small mist afterwards as well. So this first row is going to be the rosemary seeds. Let's see how many's in this package. It says here that in my zone, these rosemary seeds should be planted between February and May. I am going to ignore that. And the reason why is because these seeds will be inside. They're not going to be outside. Uh, also says that they'll be planted at a depth of 1/8 of an inch, which means you just pretty much sprinkle them on top. Maybe cover them with a little vermiculite, or don't cover them at all and just allow the soil and the water to help them to make soil contact. Spacing is 36 inches. We're not concerned about that right now because they're not out in the garden. And then the days to harvest, it says 85 to 90. This is a little different than what was said online. Oh, this is very little seeds. So sprinkle a few in there. And let's see which ones take off. Since it has such low germination rates, you would assume that they would give you a few more seeds, but I guess not. All right. So those are in there. Next, we'll go ahead and add these snapdragons. Be careful how I open this because I don't know how many seeds are in here. I may end up needing to reseal it. Oh, that's empty. All right. Snapdragons are done. Put these in here so I don't lose them. Next is the Pansy Lake of Dawn. And this is what they look like. These sprout within 4 to 7 days. Ideal temperature is between 62 and 68 degrees. Excuse me. It does say that you should surface sow them, and then when you plant them 6 to 9 inches apart, they are frost hardy. Minimum full sun, 6 to 12 hours a day. So they will definitely have to be out in the garden. Sprinkle a couple of these. All right, try to put about 4 in each one. That's done. The last one, like I said, is going to be reserved for onions. Now, I will go ahead and mist these again to make sure they have some good good soil contact. And they will be going inside. I did want to get some of this rosemary harvested. I think the last time I harvested this was probably around October, November of last year. I'm going to be replacing this one altogether. All right, so that's enough for today. I got this basket full, so that'll have time to dry. Oh, it's very dry in there. Uh-oh. So this new rosemary that I have here, I picked it up at the nursery. It was like 12 bucks. Um, Not much is falling off of it. I do want to get it into more soil so that it can start to expand. Um, I am going to plant it where I had my sunflower seeds and amend the soil. So let's go over there. So this is where I'll be planting this new rosemary right here where these sunflowers are. I ordered these sunflower seeds because they were supposed to be purple teddy bear. This thing looked just like a regular sunflower. It was yellow. I haven't gone back to leave my reviews. I'm not interested in saving seeds from it because I already have these. But yeah, I was not very pleased. So this is where my rosemary is going to go, right here in this pot. Ouch. With plenty of this 444 organic all-purpose plant. It's not plant tone, but it is a fertilizer, all-purpose. Good job, Oreo. Probably should have bought the shovel. Since it's going to be in this pot, I do also want to go ahead and add a little bit of blood meal and a little bit of bone meal to help with the root structure. Um, so let me grab that as well. Got my bone meal. Got my blood meal. I'm going to add a little bit of both of those. That's more than enough. Yeah. All right. Let's mix that in. Once that's been mixed in, we can go ahead and get this rosemary planted. And I will add a little bit of water. And the water I'm going to add is just to kind of activate the fertilizers, the dry fertilizers that I've added into this pot. All right, I think that is deep enough. Yes, it is. Oh, it fits perfectly. Look at that. Can't wait to see it take off and start growing. Let me grab the water hose to water it in. All right, it is over here where it's going to be getting full sun, which is what it needs. It's got more than enough space to grow. I've added the amendments to the soil, the bone meal, the blood meal, and the all-purpose fertilizer, which will continuously break down in the soil, giving the plant what it needs since it's in a pot and not in the ground. All right. Let me show you guys the new tree that I'll be adding. All right, so I went for my bi-weekly pedicure, and the lady that owns the salon and I got to talking. She does a lot of gardening too. She's got a lot of trees. She's got the sugar apple tree. She's got the starfruit tree, which is here, what I'll be adding to my garden here shortly. She's got tons of apple trees. She's got citrus trees, um, guava. She's got papaya. She's got so many different fruit trees, and they are all doing so well. But anyway, we got on the discussion of fruit trees and gardening, and she was telling me about the starfruit tree. And I was telling her that I was considering getting one. She said, make sure you get the sweet one and not the sour one. And I said, oh, okay. I didn't know they came in sour. So when I went to my nursery, JRN nursery, I did a video tour of JRN nursery. You can go back into my videos to check it out if you haven't watched it. But I went to JRN and they had these starfruit trees. So I decided to ask her because they all had fruit on them already. I said, I would like to see if I would like the sweet one or the sour one better. And she just grabbed a couple of the fruit off the different trees and I started tasting them. Turns out I liked the sour one better than I liked the sweet one. And so this is a sour one. It is called Golden Star sour variety. And so it already had fruit on it. It's got tons of blooms on it, which are already turning into little star fruit. And so because it's in this little, I think this is a 7-gallon pot, I wanted to up pot it to this 15-gallon pot. While I was talking to the lady at the nursery, she was telling me that these actually had the leaves are actually beneficial for you as well. They're good for your skin. So if you have like eczema or something like that and you're breaking out, she said this: take the leaves, crack them, and rub them on your skin, and it's good for your skin. Um, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm sure that I will because I do have eczema. And so I'd definitely be interested in trying this. So not only are the fruit good, but so are the leaves. So I can't wait to get this up potted and going, um, and see how many fruit it's going to put out. She did also recommend that I leave it in the pot. She says because it needs to be protected from the cold. And so I'm not going to put it in the ground. I'm going to put it in this 15-gallon pot. Keep dropping the fruit off of it. I'm going to leave it in this 15-gallon pot. She says they do like a lot of water, and so I'm not going to use the well draining soil that I normally use. I am going to use this potting soil. So now I have never grown the star fruit before. I did watch a couple of videos. A lot of them mention that they fruit a lot. They give you a lot of fruit. They did also mention that the star fruit are expensive in the stores, probably around $2 or $3 each, if you can find them. Very seldom can you find them in the store. I do want this to have what it needs. I think that's perfect. Let me sprinkle a little bit of the all-purpose. Uh-oh, it's been doing that all day. Okay. I do also want to add some of the blood meal, and I do also want to add some of the bone meal, just like I did for the rosemary. Mix it around in there a little bit. Yep, that was easy enough. This little stick is no longer going to hold it up, so I'm going to take that out. I do have a bigger bamboo that I want to put in there, which is this one right here. Okay, let me go ahead and get something to tie it. Now, it has been said that these trees can get up to 20 feet tall if they are in the right environment. even if they're in a pot. Um, right now, I don't know if I want it to get that tall. Okay, let me add a little more soil in there. Need to move this up. I'm thinking that the graft is probably here. It could be lower or here. It could be here. So I just need to make sure I don't put the soil up that high. I do want to make sure the tag stays on it. And I do see that there are some roots that are already exposed, and I definitely want those to be covered. So I'm going to add more soil. A little more. Now, I didn't think about putting this sucker where I want it to be before I added all this dirt to it. Now I got to get somebody to help me move it. A little bit more dirt. But don't worry. I think my son's in there, so before he leaves, I'll let him do my dirty work. All right. Roots are covered. I got the support in there. I'm satisfied. I just want to give it a little water because it's been sitting and I hadn't added any water to it. All right. Let's get it watered in. All right. So, like I said, it is said that it likes a lot of water, and so you would want to water it probably every other day. Once the weather cools down, I have been told that you can water it once a week. It usually flowers around this time of the year, and your fruit will probably be ready in about 3 months. So, if you have temperatures that get really, really cold, this plant does have a tendency to drop its fruit. I think our temperatures are going to be okay here. I think this plant is probably going to be pretty hardy here. Um, and the reason why is because we don't get really cold temps like that. Every so often we get maybe down to 32 degrees. Um, I saw one guy said that his was hardy down to 19 degrees. Another guy said his was hardy down to 24 degrees. And very seldom do we get those temperatures here in Houston. Um, and so I don't think I'll have to worry about that. I do plan on getting a greenhouse soon. And so if I need to move it inside of the greenhouse, I will, to protect it right along with my lemon tree. But the two pear trees and the nectarine trees that I have, they actually need those chill hours to produce. And so I don't have to worry about moving those in. A little bit more, and I think that's going to be it for now. I don't want to overdo it. All right, folks, we got our rosemary harvested. We started our rosemary seeds, and we also took cuttings to propagate our rosemary. I will keep you guys updated as to how the propagation of the rosemary is going. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and do that. Come along for this journey. That's it for today's video. I do appreciate you guys for joining me. As usual, if you have comments or questions or suggestions, I'd appreciate it if you could leave it down below. If you've enjoyed my content, I'd appreciate it if you could like, share, and subscribe. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.